Hey, what's up, Improvement Warrior? Jason Yun back with you again. Hope you have a fabulous day. Welcome to the 13 Pillars of Health webinar. And this webinar it's basically all 13 pillars, which used to be 5, now it's 13. Wow, that's a lot more pillars, a lot more important things. And fitness and nutrition is on there, but you got 11 others that are affecting your health. So don't just think it's fitness and nutrition, because if you do, then you're going to struggle with your health, and more than likely you're going to die from some modern man Neolithic disease as you get older. And you're going to struggle and you're going to be frustrated if fitness and nutrition is the only thing you focus on. So each of the 13 pillars are going to have their own separate webinar. So I'm just going to go over the 13 pillars, introduce them to you, and maybe go over 1, 2, 3, 4 points at most in regards to each one. And so let's get into it and see what these 13 pillars are. Okay, share. Here we go. All right. Let me try minimize my screen and maximize this. Hopefully this is working. And I'm not going to have to do this twice. All right. So 13 pillars of health. It's not all about nutrition and fitness in order to achieve your ultimate body, health, and life. Okay. All right. So we're going to quote my favorite movie of all time. If I can change and you can change, everybody can change. Okay. So this is me. My past, picture on the left, I would say 2005 and before. So that was my bodybuilding years. I was 222 pounds. The heaviest I was 234. I didn't really compete in bodybuilding. I was always in the bulking stage. If you would have asked me back then, I would have told you I looked like Arnold in his bodybuilding heydays. But obviously I was a lot. I was probably 20 to 25% body fat. I was pre-diabetic, high carbohydrate diet, low fat, high protein, basically following a standard American diet. Cholesterol was kept to virtually none. Okay, so 80 egg whites a day, or I'm sorry, 80 egg whites a week. A day, that would be insane. But some people do that. So 80 egg whites a week, about 10 to 15 cans of tuna a week, pasta, cereal, skim milk, just all kinds of crap that makes you sick and fat. And I was depressed and losing my hair. That's why I look so angry in the picture. Picture on the right, that was the paleo days. So again, I would have told you I looked like Arnold in his heyday, but obviously not. Still chubby, still fat, and I was the healthiest I ever been when I went paleo. I mean, anytime you switch to a real foods diet from the crap I was eating on the left, you're going to feel healthier, and you're going to feel happier as well. But I was still suffering. So the left picture here, still on paleo, couldn't get rid of that gut. And then the picture on the right is after I found the nutritional cleansing and superfood program. And then, so that was 2013. And then ever since then, my focus was more on nutrition, because I had finally found it and I thought I knew all the answers, but I didn't, which you'll learn in this webinar. So after the cleanse came keto, then low carb, high fat, and all that stuff, and feeling better and better and better and better, but the health wasn't where it is right now, and how I'm talking to you right now. I thought it was at the highest it could ever been, but as you'll learn through these pillars, you can take your health higher and higher. Most people, they say they feel fine, but they don't actually know what good health feels like and what full-time energy feels like. Okay, so a lot of times I teach a 5:15 morning class, so I get up at 4:30 and I'm not in bed at 10:45, but I'm going all day long. I don't run out of energy. I haven't done caffeine in 5 months. So you're going to learn a lot of things. That some of them are going to shock you. Some of the things I may say may offend you, but I don't care, because this information needs to get out. It is super, super important. If it does not get out, then what we've got now, we've got an obesity, a disease epidemic. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Okay, so the information out there is just, it's incorrect. Okay, so let's get into the pillars. All right, so introduction, 5 pillars to 10 pillars to 13. Okay, so early 2018, it was just 5 pillars. It was basically sleep, stress, nutrition, fitness, and rest and recovery. Then February 2018, it went to 6. October 2018, it went to 10. January 2019 went to 13. So this past month, I sat down and I figured out all the things that I do. So what do I do to make myself healthy? And what is the common theme with the most healthy, most productive people, most energetic people in the world? Okay, it may rise. Who knows? It may have 14 or 15, but right now, with what I know, it's 13. Okay, pillar number 1, circadian biology. This is number 1. This affects everything. All the pillars are usually tied together, some more closely than others, but this is by far the most important. And if you do not get it right, you will suffer. Okay, so we are all run by clocks. That is our circadian biology. That is our circadian rhythm. And we also have an ultradian rhythm, so rhythms within a 24-hour period. So our circadian clock, circadian rhythm is basically a 24-hour clock, and then we have clocks that run inside those 24-hour clocks. Okay, the master clock, the grandfather clock, is the SNC, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It is run through the eye. Okay, so it's about 6 inches back, right through the eye, and it's about the size of a pea. Okay, but it basically runs all our other clocks. It runs all our biological programs inside of our body. If this clock is off, then all the other clocks are going to be off, because every single organ, every single cell, and we've got hundreds of trillions of cells in our body, okay? And each organ has their own cells as well, and their own clocks, okay? But if those clocks are off because you're not following the other pillars of health, then it's basically like you've got a football team, and the entire team is on the field at the same time. But you've got a section of wide receivers over here, you've got the linebackers over here, they're not talking with the defensive ends and the defensive line, and you've got the quarterbacks over here talking to themselves, they're making their own plans, okay? So you got pretty much everybody making their own plans, but the suprachiasmatic clock, the master clock, the grandfather clock, the head coach, he can't hear those, and he doesn't know what the other players are doing inside the body. And that, eventually, it creates chaos. And chaos inside the body is known as inflammation. Inflammation opens you up to every single disease you've ever heard of, or you've never heard of, because there's a lot of diseases I've never heard of. Okay, so inflammation opens you up to everything. But if your clocks are off, you've got inflammation going on. Okay, so everything related to your health runs off of this. If you learn this piece, then all the other pieces fall into place, and it becomes very, very easy to get your health back. Okay, so one of the most important things for your circadian biology is eating during the light cycles. Okay, so eat when it's light outside, or typically it's winter now, so the sun usually goes down around 6, 5:30, 6, 6:15. Depends on where you live as well. Okay, but I try to get my last meal in by 7:30. I want to try and get my last meal in 4 hours before I go to bed. Okay, and we'll discuss more about that and why that's super, super important. Because if you don't do that, then you're messing up your circadian biology, and you're messing up a lot of things. There's a new book out by Sachin Panda. I think it's called the Circadian something. So you can check that book out. He talks about all the things you need to know about circadian biology and everything. Okay. All right, number 2, mindset. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard me talk about it. I talk about it all the time. Mindset is critical, okay? Because, I mean, without a positive mindset, nothing you do with these pillars, I mean, not nothing, but most of the stuff you do with these pillars is not going to matter because your mindset sucks. And basically, if your mindset sucks, your life sucks, okay? And with a negative mind, you're going to have negative energy. You're going to have negative people in your life sucking the energy out of you, sucking the mindset out of you. So you've got to create a positive environment, okay? Mindset could possibly be number 1, all right? But I put the circadian biology number 1, obviously. So building up a positive mindset it takes time. It just doesn't happen in the snap of a finger. You've got to build it up over time. And it's never going to be completely awesome. It's never going to be completely 100%. Because, I mean, bad moments are going to happen. Notice I said bad moments. I didn't say bad days. Nobody has a bad day, okay? You make it a bad day. You have moments within your day, and if you let those bad moments turn into a bad day, then that's your issue, okay? That's a mindset issue. We need to turn that around. So we have bad moments. We just turn them around, focus on what we can do to make it a good moment. The next moment, a good moment. Next moment, a good moment, okay? So most people are basically like a stray plastic bag in the grocery store parking lot, and they're just letting the wind, letting the cars kick them, push them, blow them wherever they need to go, okay? That's not what we want, okay? That's not how we live a positive life, and that's not how we're going to grow and become the healthiest version of ourselves, okay? There are certain laws in the universe, okay? So if you jump up a building, you're going to fall down, and you're probably going to die, depending on how high you are. Right? You're not going to fly. You're not Superman. You're not a bird. You will fall. That's the law of gravity. Then you have the law of success. Law of success, number 1 is consistency. So with these pillars, most of them are daily, but weekly is the minimum for them. Okay? So that's the law of consistency. You've got to stay consistent. You hear me talk about consistency all the time. If you do one of these pillars one day and then you wait 2 weeks, do it again, nothing's going to change, okay? And you're going to end up sick, depressed, negative mindset, all that bad stuff, okay? So we need to cultivate a positive mind, all right? So you figure out who's in your life that is bringing you down and that has a negative mindset, and possibly show them this webinar, okay? But the longer they stay negative and the longer they're around you, the more they're going to bring you down, okay? So figure out how to avoid them as much as possible. So sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's family, but you've got to set the limits, okay? All right, number 3, light, okay? So on the side, the picture here, one day, light will be seen as important as diet and exercise. And those who already pay attention to it are light years ahead of the class. Okay? So that quote is from Jack Kruse, and I've also got another quote on here from Jack Kruse. A lot of the information is from Dr. Jack Kruse, who is a neurosurgeon. You can go to his site and you can follow him, but just be aware, his information will blow your mind. So this is the second time I've run into him, and the first time I just was not ready. I did not accept, I tried to, but it was just too far-fetched. But after doing this biohack for the last 4 or 5 months, I realized he is speaking the absolute truth. It may be an inconvenient truth, and a lot of people won't do it, and unfortunately those people will just get sicker and sicker and die from a Neolithic modern man disease. The big ones, of course, are heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, okay? Bad things, which we don't want. All right, so there is light, all right? There is natural light and there is artificial light. So there is good and bad light, okay? So think Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. All right, light is number one for keeping your clocks either right or wrong. Okay. The other quote from Jack Kruse is, humans are the only species smart enough to create artificial light and dumb enough to live under it. Okay, so that may offend a lot of people, but if you are a client of mine over the last 4 months, you may have noticed something different that I am doing every single day. And what I'm doing every single day is I'm wearing blue blockers. So when I don't know if you can still see my face, but probably not. But at the beginning, you saw me wearing the glasses. So my vision is 20/20, or it's actually better than 20/20. I don't need glasses. They are blue blockers. And I am constantly wearing them if I'm exposed to blue light. Okay? So blue light's coming from the fluorescent lights at your work. It's coming from the computer, the phone, iPad, refrigerator, the headlights, the headlamp, or the light posts outside. Okay? That is artificial light. Okay? And that is the light that is virtually killing us. Okay? And blue light is actually going to be the next webinar that I do. It will be the most important webinar. And I will actually do a live one at the studio as well. You do not want to miss it. I am probably going to charge for it. That's how important it is. Okay? If you miss it, you're basically telling me you don't care about your health. And also, if you miss it and you continue to expose yourself to blue light, then your nutrition and your fitness is pretty much going to have to be spot on for the rest of your life. And even if it is, you're still going to suffer from some major diseases later on in life. Okay, so those major diseases like osteoporosis and arthritis and Alzheimer's disease, they're not old people diseases. Okay, they can be avoided. And one thing you're going to start noticing at my studio is the lights are going to be changing big time. Okay, so get ready for that. All right, because there's only 2 other gyms that I know that are doing this. One is in Kentucky and one is somewhere, I think in Europe or somewhere. But we're going to be changing our light situation because that is number one. So you're either getting not enough sunlight, too much blue light. Okay, so we need to change that light situation. Okay. All right, let's talk about water. As I sip some water here. All right, so water. All right, you can fast for weeks. So you can go without food for weeks. The longest on record is 382 days. And I do believe he lost like 330 pounds. But you can't go 7 days without water, without dying. Okay, and going 7 days without water is idiotic. Okay, it's stupid. All right, don't even go 1 day without water. Okay, don't even go 6 hours without water if you're awake. Okay, 60 to 80% of our body is made up of water. Every single cell has water inside of it. The younger you are, so babies are more made of water, and then as we get older, we become less and less more made up of water. So that's why it's super important. As you get older, you need to drink more. Okay, so water better be your favorite drink, or it better quickly become your favorite drink. Okay, and none of the crystal lights, none of the stuff with artificial sweeteners to sweeten your water. Okay, you need to get rid of that. If you need that stuff, that's basically an indication that your taste buds are destroyed. Okay, so we need to look at what you're eating. So are you eating a lot of artificial sweeteners? Are you eating a lot of sugar, high fructose corn syrup, soy, corn, bad stuff? Okay, so 60 to 80% made of water, and yeah, so basically we need to drink water. It is, and it's not just drinking water, okay? The things that we eat, and inside of our bodies, we make water. Inside our mitochondria, we make water. So photosynthesis is the basis for all life. So you got plants, they take the sunlight, they turn the sunlight into CO2, carbon dioxide, they turn that into water, and then they turn that into sugar. So plants never need to eat because they create their own food from the sunlight, from the natural light, okay? Humans reverse the process. So they eat sugar, they eat glucose, turn that into carbon dioxide, and they turn that into water, okay? And that's the kind of water your mitochondria, your cells use, your brain uses to basically power our cells, okay? So the recommendation, the old recommendation was drink 8 glasses of water, so 64 ounces. That is bogus, that is wrong, that is incorrect. It's half your body weight in ounces. And that's the minimum, that's the bare minimum. So if you're not there, so if you're not at 64, that 64 will be your first goal, then getting up to half your body weight in ounces, then half your body weight or more. So I weigh between 175, 185 most of the time. I shoot for between 130 and 150 ounces of water. Okay? The more active you are, the more you sweat, you're going to need more water as well. Okay? I created 2 videos going over water and why it's more important than food. It is far more important than food. So I will link those up somewhere where you can watch those as well. But basically, watch those. Super important. Get your water. Okay? Water is energy. Water is life. Okay. All right, we're moving on. Magnetism. So blood is a hydrodynamic, non-Newtonian fluid that connects the sun to our mitochondria wirelessly. So this is nature's Wi-Fi. Okay. So mitochondria, if you've never heard of it before, it's the powerhouse of the cell. It's where we create ATP. Okay. For I forget the actual numbers, but I think for like a 160 pound man, they need to create more ATP. So you need to create more than 160 pounds of ATP to run yourself efficiently, to have the energy. So ATP gives us energy. All right. There's other ways we can get energy, which we'll talk about here. But magnetism, okay? Life and our cells and our mitochondria run on electrons and protons, okay? So if you're overweight or you have a disease, then you have too many protons and not enough electrons, okay? So there's something known as the redox potential, and that is the negative charge of the cell, okay? So we want to be negatively charged, okay? That means we've got more than enough electrons inside our bodies, and we can run on those, and we can have all the energy we need throughout the day. If we're positively charged, that means we have too many protons. That means we have a disease, or we're overweight, or something is wrong with us, okay? Now, each cell, again, powered by the mitochondria. Again, we've got hundreds and hundreds of trillions of cells. So that means, and there's more than one mitochondria in each cell, okay? Our mitochondria react to every single stimulus in the environment, regardless if you feel it or not, okay? So if we are cooking our food in a microwave, which you should never, ever do, okay? So at our old house, the microwave, we didn't use it for the last 3 years. I probably used it one time in 3 years. And that was to cook or melt coconut oil. But now I just melt it in on the stove or put it in the oven. Sure, it takes longer, but okay, my health is the most important thing. And my mitochondria health. So Jack Kruse talks about being a mitochondriac or being a black swan mitochondriac, which is the top level. So I'm somewhere in between there right now. So everything that you do is focused on making your mitochondria better, okay? And if you use the microwave, you are not making your mitochondria better, you are making it worse, okay? So it's a second by second environmental radar, so to speak, is your mitochondria, okay? Even if you feel it or not. Now, some people will be able to feel it more than others, and usually, if that's the case, those people are usually really healthy or they're usually really sick, okay? And unfortunately, the great vast majority is somewhere in the middle, and they don't know the things that they're doing that's destroying their mitochondria. Okay, so you get the electron chain transport, okay? So food is not as important as everyone makes it out, including me, okay? But myself, not anymore. So again, I've told you I've been doing a biohack since the beginning of October, and I have learned food is not the most important thing. So we've talked about some of the most important things already in this thing, and we're not even at nutrition yet. We still got a couple more before we get to nutrition. With electrons, okay, one of the best ways to get it, and one reason you will see me in between class, or you'll see me just standing outside in my bare feet in the grass on Earth, is the electrons. So it's called the Hall effect. Anytime you have something with a greater amount of electrons or greater amount of energy, the greater amount of energy thing will give that energy to the thing with lesser energy. So with myself standing in the ground, the Earth has an unlimited supply of electrons. I don't. So me standing on the ground barefoot, I'm getting that energy. So that's one way I can go from 4:30 a.m. to 10:45 with no problem. Okay, plenty of energy to run all day long. Okay, and magnetism also applies to cold. Okay, so the more cold you can make your cells and your mitochondria and your body, the better the electron train transport works. Okay, so then the food will turn into the electrons, which will go into the mitochondria, which will give you the energy faster. Okay, we'll talk about cold a little bit later, so you know that I do cold tubs and all this stuff, but there's a way to start and there's a way to build it up. Just like you need to build up a solar callus with the sun and the natural light, you need to build up your cold exposure. Just like you need to build up your exercise exposure. I wouldn't expect somebody who hasn't worked out ever or in the last 5 years to come in and do 300 pounds of squats, okay? But some trainers and some programs expect that. Stay away from them. They're idiots, okay? So same thing with cold exposure, and same thing with sun exposure and light exposure, okay? You can't do it overnight. And same thing with mindset. You can't build up a positive mindset overnight, okay? All right, next up is EMF. So these are just some of the books on EMF. EMF stands for electromagnetic field. Okay, so you got all these books talking about electromagnetic fields and the dangers of electromagnetic fields. EMFs will affect your mitochondria in a big, big way. So we have a native EMF and we have a non-native EMF. Okay? Every single chronic disease and ailment, non-native EMF has some play in it. Anywhere between 10 and 90%, and sometimes up to 100%. Okay? So non-native EMF is going to be your Wi-Fi, smartphones, microwaves, computers, TV, appliances, anything smart, anything that turns on, okay, with electricity has non-native EMF in it, okay? And then you have the native EMF. So the native EMF is the sun, okay? And the Schumann resonance, okay? So the Schumann resonance is basically the Earth's magnetic field, okay? It's spinning at 7.83 hertz. And the other thing that's very interesting is in our body, our alpha wave in our brain resonates at 7.83 hertz as well. Okay, so that's either just a big, huge coincidence, but in my belief, that's way too big of a coincidence to be a coincidence. So we are designed to be connected to the earth and be connected to nature. Okay. And the worst non-native EMF, I've already talked about it, is the blue lights, okay? The artificial lights, the fluorescent lights, the LED lights, the CFL, the compact fluorescent light, so the little squiggly line light bulb that you have, that's the worst light bulb you can have. Throw it away if possible. Incandescent lights are much, much better. But unfortunately, businesses and all that stuff and the power companies, they all want you to switch to LEDs because they save energy. But they don't really save energy because they're basically killing you. Okay? So the worst invention ever, and this may shock a lot of people, but Thomas Edison, they put him up on a pedestal, which he should not be on a pedestal, because the light bulb, the blue light coming from that light bulb is the worst invention ever. And then you've got Tesla as well as another one of the worst inventions for the power grid. Okay? So the power grid, we're all under power lines, we're running off electricity. Okay? You see the power lines running all over the place. Okay? These are the things that are basically irradiating our bodies and causing our self to have all these diseases, all this inflammation inside of our bodies. Okay? And depending on who you are, what your genetics are, and what gets turned on, how your environment is, that will determine what disease you get. So the more you're exposed to this kind of stuff, okay, and nutrition does play a role in it, but the blue light and the non-native EMF is basically the number one things that are destroying our health. Okay? So EMF, big issue. Okay? So electromagnetic field, there's multiple books on it, which I just went through. The one good one that I went through, it's the non-tinfoil guide to EMF. I can't find, oh, here it is. So the non-tinfoil guide to EMF by Nicholas Pinal. He's from Montreal. He's Canadian, French Canadian. So it's a very, very good book. It tells you how to mitigate a lot of stuff. I highly recommend that, and I highly recommend all those books that I just put on there. Okay, so you've got to put skin in the game. So you've got to, there's going to be a lot of reading that I'm going to suggest when I do individual webinars on each of these pillars. And there's going to be reading, there's going to be webinars, there's going to be podcasts, all kinds of stuff. All right, you have to learn why it's important to do it. You have to know why you need to do it. Because if you just do it without knowing why, when things get hard, you're going to stop. Okay, just like fitness. All right, people show up first day, they overdo it, they get sore for a week, they don't come back. Okay, then they just wait and wait and wait until the next moment they have that motivation. Okay, so you're going to have to do these things when you don't have motivation. Okay, but you have to realize why you're doing it. Okay, and that's why it's important to read and continue to educate yourself. And I'm going to continue to educate you. I'm going to continue to put posts out, all that stuff. All right. So intermission, pillars 1, pillars 3 through 6, and pillars 11 through 13. So pillars 1 and 3 through 6 were all added within the last 10 months in 2018. And they take priority over everything else. Okay? Now, how can that be? You don't know what you don't know until you know that you know, or until you know that you didn't know. Okay? So we have a lot of people, a lot of corporations that are trying to feed us, a lot of marketing corporations. It's their job to basically tell you what to do and tell you how to live. Okay? And unfortunately, the marketing is sometimes doesn't match with the science. That's especially true with nutrition and the fat versus the carbohydrate issue, or the cholesterol issue, or the saturated fat issue. Okay, so a half-truth always leads to a full lie. Okay, so that's another quote by Jack Kruse. Basically, so I can tell you, do your workouts 3 times a week, eat nutrition, eat your keto, eat your low carb, eat your high fat, eat your paleo, okay? And that will lead you to ultimate health, okay? But that's a half-truth, okay? You will not get to ultimate health if fitness and nutrition is the only thing that you're following, okay? So there's the 11 other pillars that we're going over, okay? All right, moving on. Sleep, okay? Sleep, pillar number 7. All right, this was number 1 of the original 5 pillars that I had created. It could easily be anywhere from 1 to 5, and the circadian biology and light are the ones that tie most directly to sleep. So I'm not sure, I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but melatonin, which most people know, it helps you sleep, okay? And melatonin is known as the hormone of darkness, okay? However, melatonin is first created in the morning through morning sun, okay? And I don't think I mentioned this. I should have mentioned this, but the number 1 thing for circadian biology, I might have mentioned it, but get out, get that morning sun. No contacts, no sunglasses, no eyeglasses. That morning sun, okay? So that's most important, and that is most important for creating the melatonin, okay? And melatonin also has been directly shown to directly correlate with the size and shape of our respiratory proteins inside of our mitochondria. Okay, so the geometry of the respiratory proteins in the mitochondria are the single most important factor for your health. Okay, and melatonin controls that. But how do you control melatonin? Getting sunlight in your eye and in your skin, on your skin in the morning. Okay, so when we sleep, it's our brain and our organs repair system. So it's called autophagy. And our brains actually shrink to get the junk out and repair from the day. Okay, so if you sleep sucks, so if you don't wake up refreshed, ready to go, full of energy, you need a pot of coffee to wake up, that's an issue. That is the first indication. And if that continues, you will die from a Neolithic modern man disease. Number 1 in the next 10 to 20 years is going to be Alzheimer's, basically because that's a neurodegenerative disease. It's not a genetic disease. It's not an old person disease. Okay, people in their 40s and 50s are now getting it. And it's going to get much, much worse once the 5G network arrives. So we're at 4G for most places right now, but some places have it already. So you got Austin, Boston, New York, LA, other places in California, Panama City Beach, they already have 5G. Indianapolis, they already have 5G, okay? So 5G is EMF, okay? So your phone emits EMF. It's connected to, it's basically a handheld microwave. That's why I said you need to be on a technological diet as well as a nutritional, okay? In order to get as healthy as you can be. But yeah, so number 1 for sleep is unplug the Wi-Fi. Do not sleep with your Wi-Fi on, otherwise you will not get into deep sleep, and your phone needs to be on airplane mode, okay? If it is not, then you will suffer the consequences, okay? And you will not get good sleep. Okay. All right, now we're on nutrition. Number 8. All right, at the top, we've got good carb versus bad carb. And as you can see, there is a potato. There is, I don't know if that's oatmeal or Cheerios, doesn't matter. Both suck. Both should never be eaten. There's no such thing as a good, healthy cereal unless you make your own. And then you've got fruit, okay? So I would say there's just one good carb at the top. So it looks like kale, I believe. Yes, kale. And then you got the bad carbs, of course. So you got white bread, macaroni and cheese, or that looks like Fruit Loops. Yeah, Fruit Loops. Soda. Soda is the worst thing you can drink. If you're drinking it, get off of it immediately. Diet soda is worse than regular soda because you've got the artificial sweeteners with caffeine, which basically, every time you drink it, it's basically popping your brain cells. So it's making you stupider every single time you do it. Then you got candy, then you got a cookie, all that stuff. Then you got, at the bottom, you got good versus bad cholesterol, okay? So both of these things we'll talk about when we get, I've talked about in the past. But there's good and bad cholesterol. Most people say HDL is good, LDL is bad. That's not the case. LDL is good and bad. It just depends on the particle size and all that stuff. All right, so nutrition. Bad information. Lots and lots and lots and lots of bad information. Okay, out there. That's why it's important for you to continue your education, never stop. Read, question people, question me. Why do I say that this is good, this is bad? Okay, and basically one of the main reasons I can say it is because I've lived both ways. Okay, and then one thing you want to do is eat to control your circadian biology. So if you're eating late at night, 1 to 2 hours before bed, especially if it's carbohydrates, you're screwing your sleep. You're screwing your circadian biology. You're screwing your health. Okay, it will virtually be impossible for you to lose weight and get healthy. All right, again, all foods get transformed into either glucose, that's carbohydrates, fatty acids, that's fats, or amino acids, that's proteins. Then they get transformed into electrons and protons. And then they cross the electron chain transport into the mitochondria. That's what gives us the energy. Okay? But if it's the wrong types of food, then it's less electrons and it's actually creating more protons. And that's how you get inflammation. That's how you get disease. That's how you get fat. All right, the best diet, excuse me, don't say diet. Don't go on a diet. The best nutrition plan is a version of the paleo, keto, low carb, high fat. So basically you're eating lots of fat. Your carbs are low, especially in the wintertime. Okay, in the wintertime, especially in the Northern Hemisphere where I'm recording this, so it's February 2019 when I'm recording this, it's winter, okay? No fruit, no vegetable grows where I live, okay? Just because I can walk into Kroger's or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or Giant Eagle or Meijer or Aldi's or whatever your grocery store of choice is and pick up a banana or an apple or an orange, it doesn't mean I should eat it, okay? Because if you do, that is screwing with your circadian biology. So the circadian rhythm, it works off of the light cycles. And in the winter, light cycles are the shortest. Summer, they're the longest. It also works off of temperature. So usually the winter, the temperature is colder. That's telling us stay off of fruit, okay? And even vegetables. Some vegetables should be limited as well, okay? And lots of DHA, lots and lots and lots and lots of DHA. So you should be eating a high seafood diet. Why? Okay. And if you're not eating a high seafood diet, then you should be supplementing with DHA. Okay. So why is that? So basically in the morning, when you get that sun through your eye to help your circadian rhythm, to help your circadian biology, when you get that sun through your eye, DHA, you have the most concentration of DHA in your eye. Okay? It's also in all of your other cells, but the highest concentration is in your eye. Okay? I don't think I mentioned, but the 4 most important surfaces of your body is your eye, then your skin, then your gut, then your lungs. Okay? But when you first get that morning sun in the morning, okay, the sun basically turns that DHA through the eye, it turns it into a DC electric current. Okay? So the DC electric current is basically what heals us. It heals our body. It causes the inflammation to go down, okay? So that's another reason you should be out there getting that morning sun through the eye, okay? So if you follow me on my MyFitnessPal, so I usually post everything that I eat every single day, you'll see over the last 4 months that my seafood has increased dramatically. So usually I would be getting, I don't know, like 1 or 2 servings every 2 or 3 weeks. Now it's at least 1, it's usually 2 servings per day, okay? And that's because I want that DHA in me. And also just any seafood will have the trace minerals, especially iodine. So iodine is a super, super important supplement, okay? So nutrition. Okay. All right. So stress. All right. I'm going to make this into 2 parts here because This has already gone too long. So I'm going to come back. Part 2, we'll start with stress. Okay, so part 2, we will start with stress, and we'll get these going, okay? So thank you very much for watching. Again, share this out. This information needs to get out. This information can and will change lives. But not everybody can be saved. Most diseases can be reversed, or the symptoms can be majorly alleviated. However, not every person can have that alleviation or can have their disease reversed. Okay? A lot of it has to do with their mindset, because a lot of people are stuck in their dogma and they're stuck in their mindset, and that's too bad for them because they're the ones that are going to suffer. But if they're close to you, then it's going to bring you down as well, because they're probably going to have to rely on you or something. But yeah, I'll be back for part 2. Stay strong, stay positive, be the improvement warrior.